Here. Today we're going to be reviewing the DC Collectibles Batman Black and White statue by Jason Fabok. So here's the basic box, here's the basic packaging. We have a product shot. We have another product shot, limited edition. It's the back of the box. This is the Robin by Frank Whiteley, and this is the Batman designed by Kim Jung-gi. It's a really unique take on Batman, and it's out of the ordinary. I kind of like it. It's pretty cool. So here is another product image. It stands approximately 7.63 inches high, and it's designed by Jason Fabok and sculpted by Jonathan Matthews. Jonathan Matthews is one of the oldest sculptors to work for DC Collectibles. He sculpted almost around 90% of the Batman Black and White line, and just recently DC Collectibles gave him the opportunity to design and sculpt his own Batman Black and White statue. And it's a pretty cool piece, you should check it out. It's pretty unique. Alright, so now that we're done with the packaging, this is the top of the packaging and nothing much at the bottom as usual. So now that we're done with the packaging, let's move to the statue itself. So here he is in all of his glory. You can check him out. So Jason Fabok is a fairly new comic book artist. He kind of started in 2011. His first work was in Detective Comics. It was actually on he had kind of done a few pages on a comic by David Finch. So that was his first work. Then he started drawing comics like there was this comic that was Dark Knight. It ran for like I think 24 issues maybe, I'm not that sure. And his best work till date I personally feel was the Dark Side War story, Justice League. It was written by Jeff Johns. I think it's one of the best comics there. It did feel kind of rushed sometimes, but I felt it was a pretty good arc. The art was just fabulous. I mean, Jason Fabok is one of the best artists currently at DC. You can see his Batman is kind of more based on a 90s look, all muscles and stuff. You can clearly see that it is kind of based on Jim Lee's work. Jason Fabok was actually inspired by Jim Lee when he started drawing, and you can see that the anatomy and the general look of the character is kind of based on Jim Lee. And if you do check out Jason Fabok's artwork, you can see that it's much cleaner than Jim Lee's. Jim Lee uses all these lines which at times feel really unnecessary, but Jason Fabok's art is a lot more cleaner. And with Brad Anderson on the colors, damn, the both of them are fucking legendary, guys. You should really check it out. Now that we're done with the 360, let's take a closer look. So here's a look at the head sculpt. Love the head sculpt on this one. You can see that he looks pissed off as usual. Batman is pissed off always for some reason. One of the problems that a few collectors find with this statue is that his head looks kind of big, and I kind of agree that it does, because in some angles, as you can see, his head looks bigger than it should. So here's a bit side view. His head is very well sculpted, very well painted. I love the black paint on this one. And I have a huge feeling that I might be wrong, I'm not that sure, that black and white statues are hand painted rather than machine painted or whatever other method that they use, because you can see that the paint on his lip is not exactly proportioned right. It's not placed right. It's not in the right place, Can't see it right because of the way the nose is covering that area, but it's kind of there. Love the pissed off head, man. Fucking awesome. Now coming to the rest of his body, his chest. You can look at the cool details on there. You can see, look at the rivets and stuff in his armor. Good look at the belt. The belt is actually really well sculpted. You can see that it's got smaller details, finer details, sorry. I changed the light source so that the head could look clearer, but I think to show the perfect details of the belt, the light should be at the original source, which was at the beginning of the video, because the shadows fall in the right place from that angle. Let's look at the rest of his torso. You can look at his arms, really bulky arms. You can see some paint bleed over here, maybe. Yep, you can see that. You can look at his massive arms. You can look at the gauntlets, very well detailed and sculpted. Sorry, I can't take a whole 360 right now because of the cape, but I will show it to you in a few seconds. At the lower half of his body. So here's legs, the lower half of his body. You can kind of see that the seams are kind of lightly painted in. It's very light, it's not that clearly visible, but you can see a little bit of black in there. Sorry, I have to keep doing these jump cuts, guys, but my camera seems to keep going out of focus every time I use my hand to rotate it or something. You can see that he's got muscular legs. He does not skip leg day, I tell you. You can look at his strong calves and his signature boots and your usual or general Batman black and white base. The last bit that's remaining is his cape, which we will get to in a second. So here's the cape, you guys. You can see this angle. I really love this angle because he looks badass, you know. He looks like he's ready to take on anyone. You can see his tricep. Again, coming back to the cape, you can look at the way it's flowing. This is one of the things I love about statues, you know, the way they capture the capes. This is just fucking beautiful, man. Sorry. So you can see the light, the way the light gets reflected off. This kind, the black, it reflects light this way only if the material is cold cast porcelain, I think, because one of the retailers told me that the black looks this beautiful, that it looks both glossy and matte at the same time, because the material is cold cast porcelain. You can see this sort of look, or I don't know, a view maybe in statues by XM, you know, because they use cold cast porcelain. You don't see this on a sideshow collectible statue because they use polystone. And no, nothing wrong in using polystone, but the way the black gets reflected, I mean the light gets reflected off of the black, you only get this in cold cast porcelain, apparently. I'm not that sure, but this is a cold cast porcelain statue, I'm sure of it. And since it is a cold cast porcelain statue, it is super fragile, guys, so you got to be super careful with it, especially the cape. I really shit myself a couple times trying to move this thing because my hand just kept touching the cape and the cape kept moving ever so slightly, but it seriously scares you, so you gotta be careful. Okay, so I guess that's it. Oh, last bit for you butt lovers, there you can look at his butt. It's got a pretty strong ass. Okay, so guys, that was the Batman black and white statue by Jason Fabok. So whatever, like, comment, subscribe. If you want to leave a comment below, just leave it. If you want to see any statue, review of any statue, if you'd like to see it, you can put a comment down below. If me or any of the other guys have the statue, we'll gladly review it for you. Thank you, peace out.